There are moments in life when you look up at the sky, and something inside you stirs. You realize that what you're witnessing isn't just happening out there, far above your head. It's also happening within you. The recent total lunar eclipse, the blood moon, wasn't merely an astronomical event. It was a mirror, a reflection of the hidden tides moving through your soul. Most people think the eclipse ended the moment the sky grew bright again, when the shadow slowly slipped away and the moon returned to its familiar glow. They believe it was just a beautiful spectacle, a passing show of light and shadow. But if you've been paying attention, you know the truth. The eclipse didn't really end that night. It began. You see, cosmic events like this are not random decorations painted across the heavens. They are living symbols, currents of energy that touch everything on Earth, and that includes you. Just as the moon pulls at the ocean's tides, it pulls at the inner ocean of your body, your mind, and your spirit. And when the shadow passed over the moon, it also passed over your own inner world. Maybe you felt it. Maybe you've woken up in the middle of the night with your heart racing for no reason. Or you've been carrying a strange restlessness that won't let you sit still. Perhaps your dreams have been vivid, almost too real. Or you've noticed waves of emotion rising and falling inside you without warning. You might have dismissed these things as stress, fatigue, or coincidence, but they are none of those. These are not random symptoms. They are the language of your soul. The universe rarely speaks to us in words. It speaks through subtle sensations, through synchronicities, through the quiet shifts in our inner landscape. This is why, after something as powerful as a total lunar eclipse, you may feel different, even if you can't quite explain why. Your body knows before your mind does. Think of it like this: when the sky went dark, when that blood-red shadow covered the moon, it was as if a hidden switch was flipped inside you. Old patterns you've carried for years were stirred up, brought into the light. Parts of yourself that have been silent, maybe even forgotten, began to whisper again. It's no accident that certain ancient traditions viewed eclipses as portals. For them, these events marked a thinning of the veil between the seen and the unseen, between the known and the mysterious. And when that veil thins, truths we've been ignoring rise to the surface. That's why you might feel a surge of energy one moment and deep exhaustion the next. It's why some people experience clarity, while others feel like they're falling apart. Just as the shadow moves across the moon, it moves across us too, revealing the places where we've been hiding from ourselves. If you've been noticing changes in your body, your emotions, or even your thoughts, don't rush to fix them or push them away. This isn't about controlling or resisting. It's about allowing, just like the eclipse itself. This process is natural and deeply intelligent. It's your inner world recalibrating to a new rhythm. Imagine a river that has been forced to flow backward for years. Suddenly, the dam holding it back is removed. At first, the water doesn't move smoothly. It swirls. It churns. It crashes against the banks. That chaos isn't a mistake. It's part of the return to its natural flow. You are that river. Right now, your task is not to build another dam with fear, doubt, or overthinking. Your task is to trust the current, to breathe deeply, to observe what arises without judgment, and to let it move through you. Because this isn't the end of a cosmic event. This is the beginning of a personal awakening. The blood moon didn't just cross the sky, it crossed you. And every sensation, every dream, every moment of restlessness is an invitation. An invitation to step into a new chapter of your life with more awareness, more presence, and more trust in the vast intelligence that is always guiding you. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember the real eclipse was never just out there. It was always happening inside you. 1. The awakening of your primal senses. There was a time, long before city lights drowned out the stars and constant noise filled our ears, When darkness was not an enemy, but a teacher, our ancestors lived beneath a vast, open sky. They knew the language of the night, the soft rustle of leaves, the shifting patterns of wind, the distant call of an animal they couldn't see but could feel. Their survival depended on this awareness, on their ability to sense what was hidden over thousands of years. As the world became louder and brighter, we began to lose that connection. Our primal senses, once sharp and alive, were slowly dulled by comfort and distraction. We no longer needed to feel the presence of something moving in the dark because we built walls, lit lamps, and told ourselves there was nothing there to fear. But the truth is, that ancient part of us never truly disappeared. It simply went quiet, waiting for the right moment to rise again. And sometimes, it takes something extraordinary to awaken it. After the recent lunar eclipse, many people reported feeling a strange unease. Maybe you've noticed it too. The way a dark room suddenly feels different, almost charged. The way your heartbeat quickens as you walk alone at night, even in a place you've walked countless times before. It's easy to dismiss these sensations as imagination, to tell yourself you're just being silly. But I want you to consider the possibility that what you're feeling is real, more real than you think. You see, an eclipse is not just a shadow passing across the moon. It's a shift in energy, a ripple through the field of life itself. When the sky changes so dramatically, something changes in you as well. That moment of total darkness acts like a signal, reaching into the deepest layers of your nervous system and flipping a switch you didn't know was there. Suddenly, your senses come alive in ways you may have forgotten. This is why you might feel hyper-aware of every sound in the silence, why your skin tingles at the faintest touch of air, why you just know someone is near, even when you can't see them. These are not random fears. They are ancient instincts returning to guide you. I've felt this myself. There was a night after the eclipse when I turned off all the lights and sat alone in my room. At first, it was peaceful, but then I felt it, a weight in the air, a presence just beyond my vision. My logical mind tried to explain it away. You're just tired. You're imagining things. But my body knew differently. My breath grew shallow, my muscles tightened, and my heart began to race. In that moment, I realized something powerful my body was remembering. For so long, I had relied only on my eyes and my mind to interpret the world. But in that darkness, I was reminded that there's another kind of knowing, a quieter, deeper wisdom that doesn't need proof or evidence. It simply feels. When your primal senses awaken, it can be unsettling at first. You may feel like you've lost control, like you're standing on the edge of something vast and mysterious. But if you allow yourself to breathe through the fear, you'll discover that this awakening is not meant to hurt you. It's here to protect you. It's a homecoming, a return to the most natural part of who you are. Think of it as learning to listen again. When you were a child, you didn't question your feelings. You just knew when something felt safe or unsafe. Over time, you were taught to override those signals with logic, to silence your instincts with reason. The eclipse simply tore away some of that conditioning and gave you back your original clarity. So, if you've been feeling this heightened sensitivity, the quickened heartbeat, the chills in the dark, the unexplainable sense of being watched, don't push it away. Sit with it. Let it guide you. Because this isn't paranoia. It's perception. It's your body relearning how to navigate a world that is much more alive and interconnected than we usually admit. In truth, darkness was never something to fear. It's a sacred space where your other senses awaken, where you can finally hear the subtle rhythm of life itself. And when you embrace it, you'll find that you haven't been alone in the dark after all. You've been accompanied by an ancient intelligence, the same intelligence that moves through the stars, the moon, and every breath you take. The eclipse didn't just darken the sky that night. It illuminated a part of you that had been waiting patiently to return. Now, it's here, and it's asking you to trust it once again. 2. A dry throat and lost voice. The soul's call to speak. There are mornings when you wake up, and before your eyes fully open, you notice a sharp dryness in your throat, a scratchy ache that feels strangely heavy. You sip water, but it doesn't soothe you. You clear your throat, yet the raspiness lingers, as if something inside refuses to be silenced. It's easy to dismiss this as dehydration or the dry air in your room. And sometimes, yes, that's all it is. But there are moments, rare, significant moments, when it's something more. I've experienced this myself, especially after times of deep personal change or emotional upheaval. It always felt as though my body was preparing me for something I didn't yet understand. A kind of inner storm brewing beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to break open. Ancient traditions often spoke of this. They believed that before a person could truly speak their truth, before they could give voice to the deepest parts of their soul, there had to be a period of silence, even discomfort. In some old stories, the prophets and oracles would lose their voices entirely for days or weeks. Their throats would burn, their speech would falter, until finally, when the moment was right, words would pour through them like water bursting from a cracked dam. That image has always stayed with me, because it mirrors something I've witnessed in myself and in others. Sometimes, the hoarseness in your throat isn't a weakness. It's preparation. It's as if your voice is being rewired not to speak louder, but to speak truer. You see, for much of our lives, we speak carefully. We say what's expected. We keep certain truths buried deep inside, because we fear the consequences of letting them out. We learn to swallow our feelings, to choke back our authentic words, until eventually, the silence we carry becomes heavier than the words themselves. And then, something shifts. It might be triggered by an eclipse, by a moment of great loss, or simply by the quiet accumulation of years. But there comes a time when the soul refuses to stay silent any longer. That burning in your throat, that persistent dryness, may be the first sign that the dam is about to break. It is the body's way of saying, enough. When this happens, you might notice memories surfacing, conversations you never had, confessions you never made, truths you were too afraid to share. It can feel overwhelming, even frightening, but underneath that fear lies a profound liberation. Speaking your truth doesn't mean shouting or fighting. It's not about convincing anyone else to agree with you. It's about alignment. It's about allowing the deepest part of you to finally have a voice, no matter how shaky or small it may sound at first. I remember a time when I kept silent about something that mattered deeply to me. I thought my silence was strength. I told myself I was keeping the peace, protecting others. But over time, that silence became a weight pressing on my chest. It showed up in my body, a constant tightness in my throat, a voice that faltered whenever I tried to speak honestly. The day I finally spoke, my voice cracked. It wasn't beautiful or polished. It was raw, messy, even painful. But with each word, I felt the weight lift. My throat ached less, and my breath came easier. That's when I understood the body knows when you've been holding back, and it will find ways to remind you, even if those reminders are uncomfortable. So if you find yourself waking up with a sore throat or a lost voice, pause before you dismiss it. Ask yourself what needs to be said, what truth within me is ready to come forward. This isn't about shouting to the world. Sometimes, the first step is simply whispering the truth to yourself, speaking it into the quiet of your own heart. Your soul longs to be heard, and your body is its instrument. That dryness, that hoarseness, might be the tuning process, uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. When you finally allow your true voice to rise, something remarkable happens. It's as if the very air around you shifts, the heaviness lifts, and the silence that once felt suffocating becomes spacious and free. Remember, a voice isn't just sound. It's energy, vibration, creation itself. When you speak from your authentic self, you don't just change your life, you ripple out into the world around you. So the next time you feel that burning in your throat, don't be afraid. Don't rush to hide it or make it go away. Instead, see it for what it might be, a sacred sign that your soul is ready to be heard. Because sometimes, the path to freedom begins with a single, honest word. 3. Restlessness, the energy that wants to live. There are moments when you find yourself pacing the room without even realizing it. Your feet move before your mind understands why. You sit down for a moment, only to rise again, seconds later, as if something inside you refuses to be still. You try to watch a show, read a book, or scroll through your phone, but none of it soothes the unease bubbling under your skin. It's not simply boredom. It's not anxiety in the way we usually think of it. It's energy, pure, raw energy that has been stirred awake and now has nowhere to go. After an event as powerful as a blood moon, you may feel this restlessness more intensely. The body, whether you realize it or not, responds to cosmic rhythms. Just as tides are moved by the moon, so are you. And when a shadow crosses the moon, something crosses through you as well. It shakes loose feelings you've buried, instincts you've silenced, dreams you've postponed. In ancient times, when people gathered under the crimson glow of an eclipse, they didn't just stand and watch quietly like we do now. They moved, they drummed, they sang and danced around fires, letting their bodies express what words could never capture. They understood something we've forgotten, that movement is a form of release, a sacred way to harmonize with the larger forces at play. Your body remembers this, even if your mind doesn't. That is why, in these days following the eclipse, you might feel an almost primal urge to move, to stretch, to shake, to walk, to run, to create. It's the same energy that drove your ancestors to dance beneath the blood-red sky. It lives inside you, waiting for permission to be felt. But modern life doesn't give us much room for this kind of release. We sit in cars, at desk, in front of screens, holding in all that energy until it twists into discomfort. We call it nervousness, stress, or restlessness. But really, it's the body begging to be heard. It's not asking for distraction, it's asking for expression. I've learned this through my own struggles. There were times in my life when I tried to fight the restlessness. I told myself to sit still, to be calm, to just relax. But the more I tried to force stillness, the more the energy surged inside me, like a river straining against a dam. It wasn't until I allowed myself to move, to take a long walk in the middle of the night, to dance alone in my room, to clean and rearrange my space, that I finally understood this wasn't something to suppress. It was something to honor. Movement became medicine, not in the sense of exercise or performance, but as a conversation with life itself. A step, each sway, each deep breath was my body's way of saying, I am alive, and I am ready to flow again. So if you've been feeling this restless pull, don't see it as a problem to fix. See it as an invitation. Turn on music and let yourself move without judgment. Walk until your mind quiets and your heart feels lighter. Even simple actions, stretching, shaking out your hands, tapping your feet to an unseen rhythm, can help release the energy building inside. And here's something beautiful to remember. When you let your body express freely, you're not just healing yourself. You're reconnecting with an ancient lineage of humans who understood that movement is prayer, that rhythm is a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Stillness has its place. It brings reflection, clarity, and peace. But there are moments like now, when stillness becomes a cage, when the energy inside you grows too vibrant, too wild to be contained. The restlessness you feel isn't there to torment you. It's there to remind you that you are alive, that you are part of a living, breathing universe, in constant motion. So let yourself move, not to escape the feeling, but to dance with it, because every step you take, every gesture you make, is a way of saying yes to life. And in that sacred yes, your body finds its healing, and your spirit remembers its freedom. 4. A new beginning in every yawn. There are moments when the simplest, most ordinary actions carry the deepest meaning. Yawning is one of them. We tend to think of a yawn as nothing more than a sign of fatigue, a little gesture our body makes when it's tired or bored. We cover our mouths, excuse ourselves, and move on without a second thought. But after something powerful like a lunar eclipse, even the smallest things can take on a new significance. I've noticed that in the days following the eclipse, people begin to yawn more frequently, sometimes in waves they can't explain. It isn't just the kind of yawning that comes from a late night or a long day. It's different. It feels deeper, almost urgent, like your body is trying to release something it has been holding on to for far too long. You see, a yawn is more than an inhale and exhale. It's a reset. It's the nervous system's way of saying, let me clear this out. Let me start again. Think about how your body feels when you yawn deeply. Your jaw stretches wide. Your lungs expand as if they're drinking in the whole world. And for a moment, there's a pause, a silence, followed by release. That isn't random. That's healing in motion. After the eclipse, many of us carry a kind of invisible tension. It's like dust settling in a room you haven't cleaned in years. The shadow that crossed the moon also crossed through us, stirring emotions, memories, and patterns we may not have even realized were there. These things don't just disappear on their own. They need to move, to shift, to be released, and sometimes, the simplest way your body knows how to release them is through a yawn. I remember one night, sitting in quiet reflection, when a wave of yawns came over me, one after another, like a tide rolling in. At first, I laughed at myself, thinking it was just a sign that I should go to bed earlier. But as it continued, I began to feel something deeper, almost like a weight being lifted from my chest. By the time the yawning passed, I felt lighter, clearer, more at peace. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about sleepiness at all. It was my body cleansing itself. And here's something fascinating. Yawning is contagious. We've all seen it happen. One person yawns, and suddenly, everyone else in the room follows. Science explains this as a kind of mirroring behavior, a quirk of human empathy. But what if it's more than that? What if it's a collective release? Imagine an entire group of people silently holding the same tension, carrying the same heaviness. They don't even realize they share. Then, one person exhales fully, releasing what they've been holding, and in doing so, they give everyone else permission to do the same. The ripple spreads, one yawn igniting another, until the whole room is breathing out together. It's a beautiful metaphor for how interconnected we are. Your healing is never just yours alone. When you allow yourself to release, you create space for others to do the same. This is why, after a blood moon, you may find yourself yawning at the most unexpected times during conversations, while thinking about an old memory, or even while sitting in silence. It's as if your body is saying, I can't carry this any longer. It's time to let it go. Every yawn becomes a small but powerful act of rebellion against the darkness. It's your system refusing to stay stuck in old patterns, old fears, old pain. It's your body choosing lightness instead. So the next time a yawn takes you by surprise, don't dismiss it. Pause for a moment. Feel the way your lungs expand, the way your chest softens as you exhale. Imagine that with each yawn, you are breathing out what no longer serves you: old worries, old stories, old shadows, and breathing in a clearer, brighter energy. In this way, every yawn becomes a doorway, a tiny, sacred reset. Life doesn't always offer us grand, dramatic moments of transformation. More often, it's these subtle, quiet shifts that shape us. The simple breath you didn't notice before, the ordinary act that suddenly feels extraordinary. When you honor these moments, when you see each yawn as proof that your body is healing, you begin to trust the wisdom inside you. You begin to realize that letting go doesn't always have to be hard or painful. Sometimes, it can be as effortless as a breath drawn in and released. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you yawn, you'll feel it for what it truly is. A new beginning whispered through your body. A promise that you're ready to step forward, lighter and freer than before. 5. Tingling and prickling, the awakening of hidden energy pathways. There are nights when you wake suddenly, not from a dream, not from a sound, but from a strange sensation moving through your body. Perhaps it starts in your hand or your arm. A subtle tingling like tiny sparks beneath the surface of your skin. At first, you shake it off, thinking you've simply been lying in one position for too long. But then it returns soft, insistent, almost alive. It feels like a current running through you, invisible yet undeniable. In the past, I might have dismissed these moments. I would have rolled over, tried to go back to sleep, and forgotten about them by morning. But experience has taught me something different. Our bodies are far more intelligent than we realize, and they speak to us in ways that words cannot. This tingling, this buzzing beneath the skin, is not always random. Sometimes, it's a sign that something deep within you is awakening. In ancient traditions, the body was seen as more than flesh and bone. It was understood to be a network of energy pathways, rivers of life force flowing in delicate patterns, carrying vitality and connection between the physical and the spiritual. Over time, modern living has numbed us to these currents. We get so caught up in routine, in screens and noise, that we forget how to feel the subtle movement of energy within ourselves. But when something powerful happens like a blood moon, or a period of deep personal transformation, those dormant pathways can begin to stir. The tingling you feel in the night might be the first sign of this stirring. It's as if invisible doors inside you are opening, letting in a flow of energy that has been waiting to move freely again. I've had nights where I woke up with a humming sensation in my legs, like a soft vibration coming from nowhere. At first, it startled me. I wondered if something was wrong, but as I sat quietly and simply felt, I began to sense something deeper. This wasn't a problem to fix. It was a message, a reminder that I was connected to something vast and unseen, something that stretched far beyond the limits of my body. The more I leaned into that feeling, the more I realized how rarely we truly listen to our bodies. We're quick to medicate, to explain away, to distract ourselves from discomfort. But what if, instead of running from these sensations, we paused and asked, "What are you trying to tell me?" When you do this, you may notice patterns. The tingling might come when you're on the edge of a decision you've been avoiding. It might appear in your hands when you're about to create something to paint, to write, to build. It might rise along your spine during moments of profound clarity or spiritual connection. This is your body speaking in the language of awakening. It doesn't use words because it doesn't need to. The sensation itself is the message. I once spoke with someone who described it perfectly. She said, "It feels like my soul is knocking on the walls of my body, trying to get my attention." That resonated deeply with me, because that's exactly what these moments are: gentle knocks, reminders that there is more to you than what you see in the mirror. These tingles and prickles are like whispers from the universe, telling you that you are not separate from it. Just as rivers connect to the ocean, your inner energy connects to the infinite flow of life. And when that connection strengthens, you feel it. not as a thought or belief, but as an undeniable physical experience. So the next time you wake to that buzzing under your skin, try not to panic or push it away. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Imagine that current of energy as a stream of light moving through you, clearing out old blockages, lighting up pathways you didn't know you had. This is not something to fear. It is a homecoming. It's your body remembering its original design, a design meant to move freely, to connect fully, to feel deeply. When you learn to trust this process, you stop fighting it. And in that trust, something beautiful happens. The sensations become less unsettling and more like a quiet joy, a subtle hum of life itself flowing through you. These awakenings don't always come with grand visions or dramatic events. Sometimes, they arrive as a simple tingle in the middle of the night, a quiet, sacred reminder that you are alive, connected, and profoundly loved by the universe that pulses through every part of you. 6. The delayed wave, energetic aftershocks. There are times in life when you go through something profound and, in the moment, it feels almost quiet. You might watch a powerful event unfold, a loss, a breakthrough, a cosmic occurrence like a lunar eclipse, and feel strangely calm. You think to yourself, maybe it didn't affect me at all. And then, hours later, or even days later, something shifts. It begins subtly, a dull ache behind your eyes, a sudden wave of fatigue, a restlessness you can't explain. Or perhaps it shows up in your emotions, tears rising without warning, irritation flaring at the smallest thing, memories bubbling to the surface that you haven't thought of in years. This is what I call the aftershock. Just like the earth trembles long after an earthquake, your body and spirit tremble long after a great energetic shift. The eclipse itself may be over, but its echo continues to ripple through you. I've felt this many times in my own journey. There were nights when I watched the sky darken during an eclipse, feeling deeply connected, yet oddly steady, as if nothing inside me had changed. But then, a day or two later, I would wake up with a pounding headache or a heavy sadness I couldn't explain. At first, I tried to fight it, pushing through my day, telling myself to shake it off. But the more I resisted, the louder it became, until I finally surrendered and allowed myself to feel it. That's when I understood these delayed symptoms are not random, and they are certainly not signs of weakness. They are proof that something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Think of your body and spirit like a deep ocean. When a storm passes across the surface, you see the waves immediately, but far below, in the depths, currents continue to shift long after the sky has cleared. Those deep movements take time to rise to the surface, and when they do, they come not as chaos, but as messages, signals that you are integrating change on a level you may not consciously understand. Many people expect transformation to happen all at once, like flipping a switch. They think the night of the eclipse is when all the magic happens, when the big shift arrives. But real change rarely works that way. It comes in layers, like peeling back the petals of a flower, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. This is why, in the hours and days after a significant energetic event, you might feel like your emotions and sensations arrive in waves. Headaches, dizziness, ringing in the ears, bursts of energy, followed by deep exhaustion. These are all ways your body processes and releases what it has absorbed. It's the nervous system recalibrating, your inner world realigning to a new rhythm. Instead of resisting these aftershocks, try meeting them with gentleness. When a wave of emotion rises, don't judge it. Let it wash through you, knowing it will pass. When fatigue hits, allow yourself to rest, even if the world tells you to keep moving. When memories surface, see them not as a punishment, but as opportunities for release and healing. I often think of these moments as sacred pauses, the quiet in-between spaces where the real work happens. We tend to measure progress by what we see: clear signs, visible milestones, outward success. But much of the most important growth happens in the invisible realm, inside the body, inside the heart. It's like a seed beneath the soil. From the outside, it appears as though nothing is happening. But underground, life is stirring, roots are reaching, and transformation is underway. So if you're feeling the delayed waves now, the headaches, the tears, the strange bursts of energy, trust that your body is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's not falling apart. It's reorganizing, realigning, and releasing. Give yourself the gift of patience. Instead of asking, "When will this be over?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Each wave brings wisdom. Each aftershock is proof that you are alive, that you are evolving, that you are integrating a deeper layer of truth. The eclipse may have ended in the sky, but its work continues inside you. And just like the earth settles after a quake, you too will find your new balance, one wave at a time, one breath at a time, until one day, you'll look back and realize the trembling wasn't a sign of breaking, but of becoming whole again. 7. Strange dreams and new visions. There are times when sleep no longer feels like a simple escape into rest, but instead becomes a doorway. After the recent eclipse, you may have noticed your dreams shifting, becoming more vivid, more detailed, almost unnervingly real. You wake up and, for a few moments, you're not entirely sure where you are, because the dream world felt as tangible as the sheets beneath your hands. Perhaps you've dreamed of someone who has been gone for years, a loved one who passed away, standing before you, as if they had never left. Maybe you found yourself walking through a place you've never visited in waking life, yet it feels strangely familiar, as though you've been there many times before. Or maybe you've encountered symbols: a key, a bridge, a doorway, a single word spoken so clearly that you can still hear it echoing when you open your eyes. It's tempting to dismiss these experiences as nothing more than random firings of the brain, as many modern explanations would suggest. But deep down, you know when a dream carries weight. There's a difference between a jumbled collection of thoughts and a message that comes from somewhere beyond your usual awareness. After an event as powerful as a lunar eclipse, the veil between worlds grows thin. The boundaries that normally separate past, present, and future begin to dissolve. Dreams become the meeting ground, a place where your soul can travel freely, and where truths you've been too distracted to notice during the day can finally rise to the surface. When I look back on my own life, some of the most pivotal moments began in dreams. I've received guidance that didn't make sense at the time but later unfolded with uncanny accuracy. I've been shown people I hadn't met yet, places I didn't know existed, and choices I didn't realize I was about to face. At first, it felt mysterious, even overwhelming. But as the years passed, I came to see these dreams for what they were: a form of connection. There is a deeper layer of consciousness that we all share, what some traditions call the collective unconscious. Others call the field, or simply the source. It is a space where every soul, every memory, every possibility exists at once. Most of the time, we move through life unaware of it, focused only on what our five senses can perceive. But in sleep, and especially after a powerful cosmic event, like the eclipse, we slip beneath the surface. We tap into that shared space, even if only for a moment. This is why your dreams now might feel so rich, so full of meaning. They are not just personal. They are connected to something vast. When you dream of a departed loved one, it may not be just your mind conjuring an image. It may be a real meeting of souls. When you encounter symbols, they may be signposts guiding you, offering clues about your next steps. I often encourage people to keep a journal by their bed during these times. Even if you don't usually write, try jotting down a few lines as soon as you wake. Dreams are slippery. They fade quickly in the daylight, and yet, when you capture them, you begin to see patterns. Over time, a story emerges, one that reveals where you've been and where you're going. These dreams can be deeply healing. They might bring closure to unresolved relationships, offering you the chance to say what was left unsaid. They can also ignite creativity, showing you visions and ideas that your waking mind would never have considered. And sometimes, they simply remind you that life is much more mysterious and interconnected than we tend to believe. The key is not to overanalyze or force meaning onto every detail. Instead, approach your dreams with gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this trying to show me? How do I feel when I remember it? Often, the feeling carries more truth than the literal events. After the eclipse, consider your dreams as a sacred dialogue between your soul and the universe. They are whispers from the deeper currents of life, guiding you toward alignment and clarity. So tonight, when you close your eyes, do so with a sense of openness. Trust that while your body rests, another part of you will journey, explore, and gather insights. And when you awaken, pay attention. The messages may be subtle, but they are there, waiting to be heard. Sometimes, the most important guidance doesn't arrive with a loud voice or dramatic sign. It comes quietly, in the soft language of dreams, leading you step by step toward the life your soul is ready to create. 8. Waves of intense emotions. There are days when you wake up feeling like yourself, steady and grounded, and then, almost without warning, a storm rises inside you. It may start as a heaviness in your chest, a lump in your throat, or a sudden rush of heat in your body. Before you know it, you're overwhelmed with feelings you can't quite name. One moment, you might feel a deep sadness, the kind that sits quietly but firmly in your heart, as though you are grieving something you can't fully see. The next moment, you could be flooded with joy, so pure and sudden it almost brings you to tears. And then, out of nowhere, anger or frustration may flare up, directed at nothing and no one in particular. It's easy to think something is wrong with you when this happens. Our culture teaches us to label these emotional swings as instability, to medicate them, suppress them, or hide them behind a polite smile. But there is another truth, a simpler, deeper truth. These emotions are not random. They are the echoes of what you've carried for years, maybe even for generations. And when a powerful event like a lunar eclipse happens, it acts like a mirror, reflecting back to you all the feelings you've tried to bury. The eclipse doesn't create these emotions, it reveals them. Think of it like shaking a snow globe. The snow was always there, settled at the bottom, quiet and unseen. But when it's stirred, it swirls into view. That's what happens inside you during and after an eclipse. The shadows bring the hidden parts of your heart into the light. I've lived through this myself many times. There were seasons of my life when I felt utterly confused by the depth and intensity of my own feelings. I remember nights when I wept without knowing why. Mornings when I woke up, furious at the world. Afternoons, when laughter bubbled out of me for no reason. For a long time, I thought I was broken. But now I see it differently. Those emotions were my body and soul speaking to me. They were showing me the places where energy had been trapped, old grief, unspoken words, unresolved pain. Each wave was an invitation to feel, to release, to heal. And with each release, I became lighter, clearer, more free. This is the work of transformation. Not pushing the feelings down, not numbing them or pretending they aren't there, but letting them move through you like the tides. Because when you allow yourself to feel fully, and you open the door for those emotions to transform into something new, anger, when acknowledged and released, can become courage. Grief, when honored, can turn into compassion. Even fear, when faced with tenderness, can shift into clarity and strength. It's like the process of turning soil before planting seeds. The ground must be broken up, stirred, and opened so that new life can grow. Your heart works the same way. When the old emotions rise, it may feel messy and uncomfortable, but it's preparing you for growth. The key is not to judge yourself for what you feel. You don't need to explain it or justify it. You simply need to witness it, to sit with the sadness, to breathe through the anger, to savor the joy when it comes. Every emotion, no matter how intense, is a wave, and no wave lasts forever. Sometimes it helps to find gentle ways to support yourself through these tides. Take a walk in nature and let the wind carry your thoughts. Write in a journal, letting the pen move without censoring your words. Speak to someone who can hold space for you without judgment. Even simply acts, like placing a hand over your heart and breathing deeply, can remind you that you are safe in the midst of the storm. Remember this: you are not your emotions. You are the vast ocean beneath the waves. The feelings rise and fall, but the core of who you are remains steady, unbroken. When you allow the waves to come and go, they clean the shore of your being, washing away what no longer serves you. The eclipse may have stirred these waters, but it did so with purpose. It brought to the surface what needed to be seen, felt, and finally released. And as you move through this process, the energy that was once trapped in pain transforms into strength, wisdom, and clarity. So when the next wave comes, whether it's joy, sorrow, or rage, welcome it like an old friend. Feel it fully, then let it go. Because each wave you release carries you closer to the truth of who you are: vast, resilient, and endlessly capable of renewal. 9. The emergence of synchronicity. There are moments in life that stop you in your tracks. Small, seemingly insignificant moments that whisper, "Pay attention." You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and then your phone buzzes with a message from them. You glance at a clock and see the same repeating numbers, not just once, but over and over again. Or maybe you've been silently wrestling with a question, unsure which path to take. And suddenly, you overhear a conversation, a single sentence spoken by a stranger that feels like it was meant just for you. Most people would call these coincidences, but deep down, you know better. After a powerful event like a lunar eclipse, these moments of alignment tend to multiply. The eclipse doesn't just affect the sky, it recalibrates something inside of you. It shifts your inner frequency, like tuning a radio to a clearer station. And when your frequency changes, so does the way the world responds to you. This is what we call synchronicity. It's the universe's way of saying, you are connected, you are supported, keep going. In my own life, I've learned to see these signs as quiet miracles. I used to dismiss them. When I noticed repeating numbers or meaningful coincidences, I'd shrug them off and tell myself I was just imagining patterns where none existed. But there came a point, especially after deep personal upheavals, when the signs became too frequent, too precise to ignore. One memory stands out clearly. Years ago, I was at a crossroads, feeling lost and unsure of what step to take next. I had been asking, silently, for some kind of guidance, not from anyone outside, but from the quiet place within myself that still believed there was meaning to be found. That morning, I walked into a cafe, and as I waited in line, a song began to play. The lyrics were not just familiar, they were answering the very question I had been holding in my heart. I stood there frozen, my coffee order forgotten, as tears welled in my eyes. It was as if the universe had leaned down and whispered, "This way." That is the beauty of synchronicity. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply offers, gently and unmistakably. After an eclipse, These signs often appear because you've entered a new rhythm of life. The energy you carry, your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions has shifted, and now, the outer world mirrors that inner change back to you. Think of it like stepping into a new stream. Before, you were moving against the current, struggling, pushing, always feeling like life was heavy and resistant. But now, you've shifted streams. Things begin to flow. The right people show up at the right time. The answers arrive when you need them most. Even challenges feel different, less like punishment, more like opportunities carefully placed in your path to help you grow. These synchronicities are not random accidents. They are confirmations. They are the universe, reflecting your new vibration back to you, showing you that you are no longer where you once were. You've stepped into a different timeline, one shaped not by fear and survival, but by connection and trust. When you start noticing these signs, the key is to stay open without becoming obsessed. You don't need to chase them or decode every single one like a puzzle. Simply acknowledge them. Smile when they appear. Say a quiet thank you. By doing so, you strengthen the bridge between your inner and outer worlds. Some signs may feel small, a feather on your path, a stranger's kind word, a song playing at the perfect moment. Others may feel life-changing, a job offer arriving just when you were ready to give up, a chance meeting that leads to a lifelong friendship. Big or small, they carry the same message. You are not alone in this. I've come to see synchronicity as the language of alignment. It's how life speaks when we finally slow down enough to listen. The more you trust it, the more fluent you become in its patterns. So, after this eclipse, as these little miracles begin to unfold around you, take them as gentle proof that you are being guided. Even when the path ahead feels uncertain, the signs will appear like lanterns along the road, lighting the way, step by step. And perhaps the greatest gift of all is this: synchronicity reminds you that you are part of something vast and intelligent, a web of life that is always moving toward harmony. Every sign, every connection, every perfectly timed moment is the universe's way of saying, you belong here. Keep walking, stepping through the gateway. The eclipse has passed, the moon has returned to its familiar glow, and to the outside world, life may seem to have settled back into its usual rhythm. But deep within you, something has shifted. The night sky may have cleared, but the doorway it opened remains wide, waiting for you to step through. Everything you've felt in these days, the strange dreams, the waves of emotion, the tingling currents running beneath your skin, none of it is chaos. It is transformation. It is your body and soul working together to release the old, to clear the debris of who you once were, so that a new version of you can take root and grow. Think of a forest after a great fire. At first glance, it looks destroyed, blackened soil, fallen trees, smoke rising into the air. But beneath the surface, new seeds are germinating. The ash itself becomes nourishment for fresh growth. The fire wasn't the end. It was a beginning, disguised as an ending. Your inner world works the same way. Every yawn that escaped you, every dream vivid enough to leave an imprint on your waking mind, every shiver that moved through your body, they are not random events. They are messages from your soul. Subtle reminders that you are alive, that you are evolving, that you are stepping closer to the truest version of yourself. I know this path isn't always easy. Change can be unsettling. There is a part of us that clings to the familiar, even when the familiar has become heavy or painful. We tell ourselves, at least I know this pain, at least I understand this version of me. But deep down, another part of you, the part that remembers who you really are, longs for something more. It whispers, let go, step forward, trust. When you resist these changes, you create friction. The journey becomes harder, the symptoms sharper, the emotions louder. But when you soften into it, when you simply observe, breathe, and allow the process become smoother. It doesn't mean it will be free of challenges, but it will feel purposeful, like a river finding its natural flow after being dammed for too long. There is immense power in choosing to see your experience not as punishment, but as initiation. When you witness your own transformation with compassion, you align with the rhythm of the universe itself. You begin to move in harmony with life instead of fighting against it. As you walk forward, remember this: you are not walking alone. Every step you take is met by the universe, as if an unseen hand is gently guiding you, placing the right people, lessons, and opportunities along your path. The signs will continue to appear: a meaningful coincidence, a dream that feels like prophecy, a conversation that brings sudden clarity. These are not just random moments. They are proof that you are supported, that you are loved, that you are exactly where you need to be. There will still be shadows, of course, but the difference now is that you are no longer afraid of them. When you carry your own light, darkness loses its power. The shadows that once seemed overwhelming now reveal themselves as teachers, guiding you back to yourself. So take a deep breath. Feel the weight of the past fall away, like leaves drifting from a tree in autumn. You don't have to rush. You don't have to have everything figured out. You only have to take one step, the step that says, "I am ready." When you cross that threshold, you'll realize the eclipse was never just about the moon. It was about you. It was the catalyst, the spark, the opening. And now, as you step through this gateway, you bring with you the wisdom of all you've endured and the light of all you are becoming. The eclipse has ended in the sky, but its gift remains in your heart. Accept it, walk with it, and know that in the very moment you choose to move forward, the universe moves with you, and every remaining shadow will dissolve in the glow of the light you now carry.